Hello, welcome to Bob's Bullet Points. I'm Bob Main from the Handgun World Podcast. I did an audio podcast about this subject a couple of months ago, I believe, called Dueling M&Ps. And this is a video that I knew one day I would make, but I just wasn't quite sure when. I was waiting for Smith & Wesson for many, many years to come out with the two pistols I'm going to talk about. I really believe this has convinced me to switch from Glock to Smith & Wesson M&P. You heard that right. I know I've been a big Glock fan, not quite to the point of being a fanboy because I use other pistols to protect my life with, other brands. I use Smith & Wesson pistols. I use Ruger pistols. I use SIG pistols. I use Car Arms pistols. But as far as the two guns that I carry most of the time now, instead of a Glock 19, Glock 43, it's now two Smith & Wesson M&Ps. Let me explain why. First of all, let me introduce my M&P 2.0. Now, most of you know there's a bunch of videos out there. Everybody's got a Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 compact video. This compact, what I like so much about it is that it's Glock 19 size. And if you put this up next to a Glock 19, there's very little difference in size. There's some difference in shape, but very little difference in size. 3 or 4 ounces more in weight. To me, that's not that big of a deal. The grip is outstanding. I think it's maybe a little hard to see here, but the textured grip, because of the camera lighting, it's kind of hard to show, but it's a very, very good grip. It's not overly aggressive, but it's aggressive enough to keep a good firm grip on the gun while I'm shooting. And this really makes a big difference when I'm shooting hot-loaded self-defense rounds, because we all know that those tend to recoil more than just range ammo. Being able to maintain that firm grip and not letting the pistol move around so much in my hand when I'm shooting, that's important. Glock was pretty good with their 4th generation and 5th generation texturing, but I think that the Smith & Wesson texturing is better. The trigger, just make sure, check, okay, we've got a unloaded firearm. The trigger on this pistol, I think, in fact, I'm going to turn this around and do this left-handed so it's easier for you to see. The trigger on this gun, I think, is superb. A lot better than the original M&Ps. The reason I never used M&Ps in the past is I just could not stand this trigger. I couldn't stand the trigger of the 1st generation M&Ps. Smith has it set up nicely to where I get an audible and I get a firm reset and then a nice trigger press again. I know people say that's not always a good technique. Shooting to reset's not always a good technique. Well, I trained myself that way so that I wouldn't lose so much trigger control that it would be affecting my shooting. I think in reality what I do is I end up letting the trigger all the way out anyway after each shot, but some people really exaggerate it. I've seen people in classes like that. And I think if you train yourself to only let the trigger out to reset, even though you might be letting it out more than that, I think it's going to help you maintain better trigger control. That's just my opinion, and it works for me. So the improvements in the trigger, the improvements in the grip, the improvements in the frame, they have a much more reinforced frame, and the ergonomics. The ergonomics, I've always liked the ergonomics of the M&P. In fact, I used to have a Walther PPQ M2, and I thought that that was pretty good, but that had too high of a bore axis. The M&P has a nice low bore axis. I know there are people that will argue about that. It's physics. The lower that the bore sits, the farther down it sits, and the closer to your hand that it is, physics just says, you know what? You're going to be able to control the gun better. A gun that sits higher up in your hand, something like that, or even some of them like this, it's going to create, unless you are really, really good, I mean really good with your grip and your strength and your technique, it's simply easier with a Glock or an M&P pistol. And those are the two that I have been liking a lot because of the low bore axis. Okay, if you want to disagree with that, I'm open to comments. For me, for the past 12 years, it's made a big difference. The other thing I'm liking about the M&P 2.0 that Glock does not offer this out of the box from the factory. I don't believe they do. The regular 15 round mags, nice full grip, right? That's nice. If I want to use the 17 round mags in a M&P compact, I've got a real nice grip sleeve there. Okay, that basically completes the entire grip, and it's super comfortable. And it's also textured. It's also textured at the bottom. Very, very, very nice and comfortable. So, the ability to shoot the larger magazines, yes, you can do it in a Glock, but you have to buy an aftermarket part. Now, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that Glock offers that as part of a Glock purchase, as part of the purchase of a Glock pistol. Smith & Wesson gives you 2 of these grip sleeves in the box so you can shoot the larger 17 round magazines. The other reason I've switched to M&Ps, the little brother of the M&P compact, or you could say the little brother of the full-size M&P, which is the 2.0 Shield. Now, the 2.0 Shield has the same nice grip texturing, okay, and obviously the 7-round flush fitting mags and the 8-round mags. Now, I have a special base plate on this, and if you look at the back, it's configured a little bit differently than the regular Shield 8-round mag. This is a special base plate that I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be doing a video. I didn't manufacture it. A friend of mine manufactured it, and once I get the go-ahead to make a whole separate video on that, I'll be doing a good video on these new base plates for the Smith & Wesson Shield mags. That makes a super nice, comfortable grip. I'll grip it left-handed so it's a little easier to see in the camera. A super nice, full firing grip. So I think this fits my hand and I shoot it better than a Glock 43. The Glock 43 being the slimmed down version of a Glock 19. This is the slimmed down version. This Shield 2.0 is the slimmed down version of the 2.0 compact, or you could say the full-size 2.0. The winning combination of these two firearms is pretty much what has switched me over to M&P, I have to say. My Glocks aren't going anywhere. My Glocks are going to continue to get shot. But the great thing about these M&Ps is that they go together so well. I think they go together even better than a Glock 19 and Glock 43 combination. My personal opinion. I welcome your comments, and I want you to subscribe to my channel if you like what you see. Also, subscribe to my audio podcast that comes out twice a month. It's called Handgun World Podcast at handgunworld.com. I'm Bob Main. Thanks for watching another episode of Bob's Bullet Points.